Okay, let's take a look at simple event probability. What a simple event is, meaning there's only one thing that happens. You don't have one thing and then another and then another. And we're going to look at the probability definition again really quickly. Then we'll look how to predict with probability, and then we'll look at how that stacks up compared to actual results in the real world. So first, again, the probability definition really quick. Remember, when we calculate probability, we're going to be thinking about what's called the sample space. It's all of the different possible events, all of these little dots. And then we're going to be looking at a particular number of events. Here I've put a square box around two of them, where we're saying, what's the probability of these two things happening? Well, it's these two out of all of the events, okay? And we can create an equation that the probability of any event, and we write that as P for probability, and then in parentheses we put the actual event so we know what we're talking about. And we can calculate using a ratio or a fraction here. It's the number of times the event occurs in the sample space over the total number of possible events in the sample space. So just a quick review of how we calculate the probability. Let's look at a real example, and it'll make it come alive for you. So if you roll a number cube 240 times, how many times would you expect to get a 1 or a 4? Okay, so first, before we think about the 240 times, let's just calculate the probability of getting a 1 or a 4. And let's think about the sample space here. So you're going to roll a number cube one time. What are all of the possible results you could get? Well, you could get a 1, you could get a 2, you could get a 3, or a 4, or a 5, or a 6, and that's all of them, right? So there are 6 total possible events in the sample space, and what we're asked is, what is the probability we'll get a 1 or a 4? So those are the two right there that we're interested in. How many are there? There are 2. Okay, so when we calculate the probability of a 1 or a 4, we're going to create a fraction that has 2 possibilities out of a total of 6, like that. Now you can probably see that fraction can be reduced to, yep, 1/3. Okay, good job. Now we can think about how to use this fact that the probability of getting a 1 or a 4 is 1/3 to predict about how many we're going to get with the 240. And the way that we do that is we just multiply the probability times the total number of times. So the expected number of times we would get a 1 or a 4 equals that 1/3 probability times the 240 times. So 1/3 times 240, well, what's 1/3 of 24? 24 divided by 3, yep, that's 8. So 1/3 of 240 would be 80. Okay, and so we can make a statement here. You should expect to get a 1 or a 4 about 80 times. Now, why did I write the word about there? Well, probability is only telling you what's probably going to happen. It doesn't always tell you exactly what's going to happen, as we'll see in just a moment here as we look at some actual results. So now let's say you ran an experiment where you actually roll the number cube those 240 times, and your result that you get, you keep track of every single one, and you write down what you get, and you get a 1 or a 4 only 72 times, not 80 times. Well, what's going on? Is it that the number cube is faulty or defective or unfair? Or is it that probability sometimes doesn't match the results that you get when you do an experiment in the real world? And it's the latter thing. It's that predicted probabilities often don't exactly match real world results. They just tell you that what is likely to happen. And that's how we calculate simple event probability and use it to predict results.